Dr. Carmenius. "Don't argue with me. Take out my heart and put it in my child's breast. It doesn't matter if I die, as long as the dynasty lives." The problem now was not the heart, it was the return. How could the child drive back on his own? So, for an extra payment, Dr. Carmenius agreed to animate the dead body of Prince Otto with a small degree of purpose, just enough to drive the sledge back to the palace. You know what's going to happen, don't you? The operation was performed. Prince Otto's heart was detached from his breast with subtle instruments and transferred into the weak and failing body of the silver boy. Instantly, a bright flush of health took the place of Prince Florian's metallic pallor. His eyes opened and a lively vigour spread through all his limbs. He was alive. Meanwhile, Dr. Carmenius prepared a simple piece of clockwork apparatus to put in the breast of Prince Otto. It was very crude. When it was wound up, it would make his body drive to the palace. That was all it would do, but it would do it for a long, long time. If Prince Otto's body had been taken to the other side of the world, he would have set off at once for home, though the flesh rotted and fell off his bones and would never stop until many years later, when his skeleton drove the sledge into the courtyard with the clockwork ticking in his ribs. So Dr. Carmenius placed the sleeping body of Prince Florian in the sledge, well wrapped up against the cold, and put the whip into the hand of his dead father, who began at once to lash and lash and lash, and the horses, foaming with terror, began their mad gallop homewards. And a strange homecoming they had of it. You might have heard the tale of how the sledge drove in at the palace gates, and how the royal physician found the clockwork heart. The servants whispered about a dead man whose arms wouldn't keep still, and rumours and guesses flew through the palace and the city like shutters in a loom, weaving a story of corpses and ghosts, of curses and devils, of death and life and clockwork, but no one knew the truth. So time passed. They searched for the Baron, they mourned for Prince Otto. Princess Mariposa wept very fetchingly in her widow's black, and Prince Florian grew. 5 more years went by, and everyone said how handsome the little prince was, how merry and good, how lucky they were to have such a child as the heir of the family. But as the winter of the prince's 10th year set in, the dreaded symptoms returned. Prince Florian complained of pains in his joints, of a stiffness in his arms and legs, of a constant chill, and his voice lost its human expressiveness and took on the tinkling sound of a musical box. Just as before, the royal physician was baffled. "He has inherited his disease from his father," he said. "There can be no question about that." "But what disease is it?" said Princess Mariposa. "A congenital weakness of the heart," said the physician, sounding as if he knew, "combined with inflammatory oxidosis. But if you remember, Your Highness, we cured that last time by means of healthy exercise in the forest. What Prince Florian needs is a week at the hunting lodge." "But last time he went with his father and Baron Stelgratz, and you know what happened then." "Ah, medical science has advanced wonderfully in the past 5 years, said the physician. "Have no fear, Your Highness. We shall arrange a hunting trip for the little prince, and he will come back glowing with health, just as he did before." But it seemed that the courtiers had less faith in the advance of medical science than the physician, for they all remembered what had happened last time, and none of them wanted to risk a journey through the forest, even if it was to save Prince Florian. This one had gout. That one had an urgent appointment in Venice. Another had to visit his aged mother in Berlin, and so on and so on. There was no question of the physician himself going. He was needed every moment at the palace in case of an emergency. And Princess Mariposa could not possibly go because the winter air was so bad for her complexion. Finally, because there was no one else to do it, they called up one of the grooms and offered him 10 silver pieces to take Prince Florian to the hunting lodge. In advance, the man said, because he had heard the story of what had happened before and wanted to be sure of his money if anything went wrong. So they gave him the silver in advance, and the groom tucked Prince Florian into the sledge and harnessed the horses. Princess Mariposa waved from the window as they drove by. When they had gone some way into the forest, the groom thought, "I don't think this kid can last another day. He looks pretty bad to me, and if I go back and tell him he's died, they're bound to punish me. On the other hand, with 10 silver pieces and this sledge, I can make up my way over the border and set up in business on my own account. Buy a little inn, maybe find a wife and have some children of my own. Yes, that's what I'll do. There's nothing that can save this little fellow. I'm doing him a kindness. Really, it's a mercy. That's what it is." So he stopped the sledge at a crossroads and put Prince Florian out. "Go on," the groom said. "Go on, you're on your own now. I can't look after you any more. Have a good brisk walk, stretch your legs. Off you go." And he drove away. Prince Florian obediently started to walk. His legs were very stiff and the snow lay thickly on the ground. But he kept going till he turned a bend and looked down at a little town silent under the moon, where a bell in a church tower was chiming midnight. A light was glowing in the window of an inn, and an old black cat watched from the shadows. Prince Florian struggled up to the door and opened it. Being unable to speak, he politely began to sing his one remaining song. So just wanted to say that don't forget to see me on Zoom on Thursday this week. Bring your work with you on diseases for guided reading. And look, I've been joined by a little friend. Look, Isbachi. He's very sleepy at the moment, aren't you? Always wants to sleep. You sleeping? Yes. He's just had a nice bark at some people outside. Okay, see you soon. Bye.